Welcome back to another TradeOut's technical analysis. We're going to take a quick look at Bitcoin and Ethereum and see what could be in store for us in the trading week ahead. Let's get to the video. So we have Bitcoin USD on the daily time frame here, and you can see just kind of zooming out on the chart that you can see general structure. Let me actually pull my SR levels off that we see things a little bit easier. And we can just kind of clean this up a little bit. These are fine. So yeah, basically came in to form a really nice base, nice impulsive move to the upside, retracement, impulse. So market structure here looks really good from a macro perspective. And again, nice move up, retracement, impulsive move to the upside, consolidation. And we've been in this sideways consolidation here. Whoops. We've been in this sideways consolidation here for a little over 3 weeks now. So it's going on a little bit easier to see on a lower time frame. And again, just looking at this, basically when we came up, started forming this range, we have been in this consolidation period for 23 days, 7 hours, or again, a little over 3 weeks. So kind of what we're looking for. Again, as far as the range goes, basically had this move up, major all-time high, right? So price formed this range, all-time high, price fell back within this trading range. So we basically had a deviation here to the upside, came right back within the range, and then we had a deviation to the downside. And what happened after that? Literally right back in the trading range. And then we continue to be range bound until now. Again, we are looking like we are trying to have a break to the upside. So simply put, this red box here, by the way, this is just a resistance zone that I had on my chart. Basically looking at this key level here, if you look at this in particular, these three, I probably just messed that up, hard to see, but basically these 3 wicks, if you zoom in right here, so these 3 wicks, again, support, support, support. This is after you are broke out of this range and you're trying to impulse to the upside, came back down to retest this level, support, 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 fail. And then you even get a back test within the high of the range here, rejection. So when you see that, typically, again, you're looking for the bottom of the range to hold, right? Which it did. But so this is simply classed as a deviation. Price comes back gets acceptance back within the range. You just go back to trading the range. And then again, to the downside, you had the same kind of thing that you had up here. Lost the range support before coming back within the range. You get this pretty crazy, swing failure pattern here. Actually pushes back to the upside a bit. But again, bottom of the range holds and you're just literally range bound. So what's happened since then? Well, again, been trading in this range for about 3 weeks and we had weekly close. We had CMEs come back online and sure enough, we are breaking the range to the upside. So this little zone here, probably wondering, what is this? I will show you. Let me get rid of these. It's very simple why I have this labeled this way. Take a fib retracement. This is where your 886 comes in. And then if you add on my SR levels, you will see that there is a daily SR level here. It's kind of coming up into this region. And then, so again, you kind of have nice confluence of this being a potential area of interest as far as resistance goes. We're literally sitting at our new weekly R1 pivot at the moment. But I was looking at this from a daily perspective and you can see that our R3 is literally hit perfectly. So that's where we're rejecting from currently. And this is basically the resistance zone that I drew. Again, it's your R3 daily pivot, daily SR level, and then the 886 fib retracement. So this is a bearish fib retracement of this structure right here. So nice little bit of resistance coming in here. I don't think that this is like majorly massive resistance or anything like that, just to be very clear. It's just like more lower time frame stuff, but I don't really expect this to be what I would class as like significant resistance, but it is there. So that's kind of, again, where this red box comes. And again, these key levels are simply your approximately your range high and your range low, right? So this is what has been containing price action for the most part for the previous, 3+ weeks. And it's been a really, really nice range to be trading. So kind of zooming out now. So we looked at price action on lower time frame again, just been range bound, but coming into a new trading week, we just had weekly close, and we're looking like we are kind of gearing up for a potential run for new all-time highs. If you come down to, I would start here on the daily level first. I'm going to actually hide all this stuff now because I don't think it's really necessary. Just give me 1 second. Right. Turn on one of my favorite indicators, Ichimoku. So kind of what I'm looking for here, and this, if you're in VIP, you're going to be well aware of this. But kind of what was a little concerning as far as the daily time frame goes is this C clamp. So it's basically this formation right here, C clamp. So typically when you see that, a lot of times you are kind of looking for a mean reversion, and a mean reversion play would be coming back to your Kijun. So that's kind of one thing that we have been possibly on the lookout for. And, if price had made its way down here, I definitely, not financial advice, but I definitely would have been taken along here. I'll be very, very interested in long in this region. But for the timing, again, it looks like we're breaking to the upside. And naturally, kind of what I would be looking for if we do continue up is I want to see Kijun start making its way up to meet price. And you'll see an example of that on the 12-hour, which is, again, something we just went over in a live stream recently in VIP. But as the daily sits, we're pretty flat as far as your Tenkan and Kijun goes, which indicates loss of bullish momentum or loss of momentum. But again, we've been range bound for basically 3 weeks. Not a lot has happened. So this is, you're going to see this. But your cloud flat, and this growing flat Kumo that you have here on the bottom, we really want to see the slope of this change. You want to see the angulation to the upside, and you want to see the cloud continue higher. So that's what we want to see in order to really have, again, like a really good run to the upside. So this is the daily time frame. Where I think it gets a little bit easier is the 12-hour, where it starts to make a lot more sense. And I think it's going to give you, this has a better chance to kind of give you an earlier signal, which makes sense that it's a lower time frame than daily, but it's going to give you more actionable signals. And this is like, I absolutely love the 12-hour. For Ichimoku, it's probably my favorite time frame. So I'd say my favorite time frame is 12-hour, daily, and then the 2-day. So those three are the ones that I tend to look at quite a bit. But again, what do we see here? Basically, if we just zoom out again for a little bit, even just looking at here, bottom of your cloud support, phenomenal support down here at 40K, which if you remember, there was an incredible daily SR level, really key level that was rock solid support, which had very nice confluence with the 12-hour cloud. So support. See how many times that was tested here before we got that break to the upside. And then once we flipped 45K, 46K, that was really the time to get excited and be looking for continuation to the upside. And that's definitely what we got. And again, you get your bullish TK cross, and look what happened since this, like massive move to the upside. Little bit of a concern, and so this is why I'm also bringing this up for you to see, is that we did have a pretty, we did have a C clamp here for the most part. Basically your Tenkan is very, very far away from your Kijun, and really for Ichimoku, you really don't want to see that. So you have two options. This is going to be the same every single time. You have two options. Either price is going to come down and you see the mean reversion. Okay, so price comes back into equilibrium here, and then we can choose a direction from there, which usually I give I favor the overall trend, right? So the overall trend here is bullish. So this would definitely have been an area for myself where I would be interested in looking for longs, because this typically is a good opportunity. Now, it's not always the case, but from trading this for quite a while, this is one of my this is kind of one of my areas where I'm always looking for a nice trade. And then, so again, either option is price comes down to meet Kijun, or, which we see happens in this case, and seems like it's probably going to be what happens on the daily time frame as well as the Kijun comes up to meet price. And what happens when that occurs? So again, yellow line is your Kijun, blue line is your Tenkin. But what happens, so you have this really big, basically deviation from your Tenkin and Kijun. The spacing is very far apart. What happens when your Kijun does come up to meet price? Well, that's pretty nice support. And then boom. And we're getting, currently as it sits, we are getting, we're above the range that we've been trading, and it looks pretty good. And what I had just, which we just kind of got this signature today, was, and one thing that we were looking for, which we talked about in the daily time frame. So your cloud here is still flat. What I want to see happen is I want to see the angulation. So this, I want to see the slope of the cloud be positive. So I want to see this start to move up as well. So that would be a really good signal. But as it stands right here, you have your Tenkin angling to the upside. You have your top of your cloud here angling to the upside. This is looking pretty good. So this is really what we want to see. Again, price comes into your Kijun. The first test that it's really had since this is the first test that you had since you had your bullish TK cross here, and you're getting a really nice reaction to the upside. So relatively easy trade, relatively easy to monitor, and I'll kind of give you a quick insight into what I will be looking what I'll be looking for going ahead. Again, when the Kijun, typically a decent long opportunity, if you're already long and we start trending really hard to the upside, if you get another mean reversion to the Kijun, that's typically a good area to look at for a possible entry, or if you're already long, that's a decent area to look for a compound. But in this case, again, trend's your friend. I said that earlier in Discord. Some people are probably gonna laugh, but the trend is your friend. And again, the trend is very much bullish. Like, here's your trend, very bullish. So Ichimoku's bullish on the 12-hour. It's bullish on the daily. But this is a lot more clear as far as I would class it. This is much easier to follow. And what I like about the 12-hour, again, is it's going to give you an earlier signal, right? So let's say that this didn't happen. Let's say that we were continuing to range. The slope here doesn't have a positive slope anymore, or it's kind of like this, where it was previously. Your Tenkin was still flat and really close to Kijun. Kind of like what you would be looking for in this instance is if you did get a bearish cross, so meaning your blue Tenkin bearishly cross your yellow Kijun, that would be your signal to take profit. That would be your signal to exit this trade. So if you're long from here, if you're long from whatever, again, the bottom of the cloud, or kind of like an easier, I would say easier trade to have taken, a little bit more confidence would be this breakout here. In this instance, so again, say you're long from here, it doesn't matter. If you did get your bearish TK cross, that would be your signal to exit. So I'll show you a quick example of what that looked like on the daily time frame, because I think this is actually really helpful. I do have an Ichimoku module out, by the way, the first video. Sorry, just have to take a quick sip of water here. But yeah, there's going to be more videos coming out soon. So just to kind of give you an idea of what I'm going to be looking for as far as trend change and why it's really important to pay attention to these signals. So going back here, when we had, and I guess I can really zoom in here, you had your bullish TK recross above cloud at 11,300, massively bullish. I know it's probably hard to see. Try to zoom in. There you go. So right here, you had your bullish TK recross above cloud, one of the most bullish signals that you can get, and the rest is history, right? So when you see that, and you kind of be keeping that in your mind for the rest of what I'm going to talk about. So again, bullish TK recross above cloud. I actually did a video on this. There is a video specifically talking about this. It's kind of in the archives, if you will, and on my YouTube channel. I have to go find it. But again, bullish TK recross above cloud, 11,300, and look what happened since then. So it's going to get really small, but look at this. So you are long this entire time. So this is your initial entry, right? Very important. So this is your initial entry, and you are long if you're following Ichimoku on the daily time frame. So maybe I should circle this just so you can kind of keep an eye on where this was. It was about here. So you're long. You can see price rides up trend really nicely. Guess what? Comes back to your Kijun, which is what? A compounding opportunity. Or if you are not long on any of this, then this is also a nice entry because, again, it's your mean reversion. So big move up to 42K, which was the all-time high at this point. 30% retracement right into your daily Kijun. So price gets back to equilibrium. Price is nice and happy and can have, again, typically I will err on the side of the trend because that's just what I do until I get my exit signal, which I'll talk about here in a minute. But again, trend's very much bullish. Opportunity here. So opportunity here, opportunity here. You had two really good opportunities, which, by the way, just from this wick to this high here was, I think it was 20 something percent. Looks small, but it was ridiculous. This was definitely a tradable, like definitely something that you would have wanted to trade. So again, here's your mean reversion, big new all-time high all the way up here to 58K before another retracement to where? Exactly your daily Kijun, then which takes you to your all-time high, 65K. So anyway, phenomenal setup. It did an outstanding job keeping you in the trade the entire time. It gave you 3 very nice opportunities to either enter a new trade or add to your long. Okay, very, very nice. Until we came up to this point right here. And this is your bearish TK cross. So this, when this occurred, this is telling you it's time to exit. So the thing about this, you're taking profit, you're hedging, you're, whatever it is, you're basically, this signal is telling you to protect your portfolio at this point. And obviously we had a move from 65K, came down into the Kijun again. So again, another opportunity, but it didn't quite work out like the other ones did. So you had a bit of a change of behavior. So look at these two reactions. I think this was like, again, 20-something% move. Comes back into your Kijun, massive move to the upside, new all-time high. Price perfectly comes back to test your Kijun. Another big move to new all-time highs. So remember what that looked like. Now you come into this example, big wick through. You do get a pretty nice reaction off of that, but we start hanging around Tenkin. And then you have this candle, which you actually close below, and certainly this candle. So when you're looking at this price action, you're telling yourself, uh-oh, like this is a change of behavior, right? We haven't seen this the entire way since 11,000. I mean, when we got into this trade, we have not seen this type of behavior before. So it's telling you something's up. Like this, like as far as the trend goes, the trend's in danger of being reversed, right? And then you look, sure enough, week later, 2 weeks later, you get the signal, bearish TK cross, that's your exit. So if you haven't been stopped on this move to the downside, you're looking to exit your position here. And then you get really good. I mean, I'm not going to go into the whole thing, but there's a lot, like there's a short here, takes you to the opposite edge of the cloud. You close below the cloud, and then this May 19th takes you to sub 30K. But here's your exit, and look what happens after you get this signal. Big move down. You're not always going to get some crazy massive move like this, but the point is that's your exit. Now, how does this relevant to anything I'm talking about? Well, if you go back to the 12-hour, that's basically what I would have been looking for. So that was kind of a long explanation about like why that signal, like what I would be looking for as far as a potential exit, take profit, goes, because that's how you play it. So you're long from here, right? So you're long on the breakout. You're long from the bottom of the cloud, maybe reclaiming Tenkin, something like that. I mean, there's different strategies that you can use depending on how aggressive you are. But for me, this was holding up as really nice support. I know a few people in VIPs actually took a trade off of here because we were, again, it was like iron support here. It was like holding up quite nicely. We had a really nice setup on low time frames, but I know some of them caught that. But again, I'd said 46, 45, 46K. If we reclaim that, we're likely moving to the top of the range, and we made new all-time highs. So it was an incredible move up to the upside. But again, bearish TK cross here. If that was to have happened, that is your signal to get out of this trade, because the trend would certainly be in danger at that point of having a bit of a reversal to the downside. It doesn't mean that the macro trend would be over necessarily. It just means that you get your bearish TK cross, especially if you see price start closing back within the cloud, then you're looking for continuation to the downside. Which, by the way, nice long flat Kumo here. It lines up exactly with the daily Kijun. So again, an area that we would have been looking for to possibly take a long trade. But as it sits, that's basically irrelevant because of everything, what I had said before I got into that long explanation. We have your positive slope on your Tenkin as well. And this is looking really good at the moment. So trend continuation is on the menu. The way that I see it this week, as long as we are holding these range levels, right? So I'll show you the range one more time, just so you can kind of get a little bit better idea. So you don't have to really worry about that too much, but it's mostly these key levels. As long as we're above this, even we can certainly come back to backtest this general region. And as long as we're holding this as support, I'm looking for new all-time highs most likely. Again, we do have a bit of, if you remember that little red box here, there is some resistance there, but I don't class that as being like a major resistance or anything. And so as far as it sits, it's certainly looking like we're going to be seeing new all-time highs this week. But you really want to see basically the top of this range level hold as support. If we lose this, so if price kind of does this thing where it kind of rolls over, maybe gets a little bit of bounce and then starts doing this, and we go back to trading within this range that we've been trading for 3 weeks now, then this likely starts to look like yet another deviation, and then we go right back to trading this range. So that's how I would look to trade that. But I think the 12-hour is going to give you a really good guideline as far as like the trend goes. So this is something that I'm going to be paying very close attention to. We obviously got an area that you could have compounded here. Price came right into it. Nice reaction off of that. But for the most part, here's your trend. The trend's your friend until it's not. So let kind of the ease, stepping in front of this and trying to short every bounce. I know that some people do that, but literally just the trend is your friend, right? Now, when I get the bearish TK cross, which is going to happen at some point in the future, I don't know how far ahead, but it's going to happen at some point in the future. That's what I'll be looking for to exit the trade. All right. So if you get a bearish TK cross, for me, that's good enough. I'm out of the trade. I'm taking profit on my longs. And then if you have this scenario, which happens to play itself, so again, you get a bearish TK cross, and then range for a little bit, whatever happens, and you get a bullish TK recross above cloud. So I hope I'm not confusing everybody, but it's that same signal that happened at 11,300. When you see that, that is like you're back in, definitely back in. So even if you're securing your profits and even if I miss a few percent, I don't care, because it's the smart thing to do. As you saw, if people didn't do that, looking at the daily chart back in May, right? When we got that bearish TK cross, you saw what happened after that. That's why you exit the trade. That's your signal. But if you get the bullish TK recross above cloud, you're right back in. And then you're looking for, again, trend continuation to the upside in this case. So 12-hour chart, I think it's really a good one to keep an eye on. As far as Ichimoku goes, I think it's been very helpful. And again, it's going to give you a bit of an earlier signal as far as potential danger, right? Or potential trend reversal. You're going to very likely see that on the 12-hour. You're going to see it on the 12-hour before you see it on the daily. So want to pay attention. So as far as targets, we're a little bit ways into the video now. But as far as targets go, just some areas that I'm looking at. About 70K initially, which isn't too far above our all-time high, but I think 69K. The hilarious 69,420. I'm really curious if that actually gets defended, because you know how crypto is. We like our memes and all that, but that'd be a really interesting short term, maybe area to defend. But realistically, a break of this structure and we start pushing higher, I'm looking for 78K. So I have some technicals lined up in that area, basically 78 to 80K. After that, you're kind of going into what I would say is probably the 90K region. I guess we could take a quick look. I don't want to make this I mean, it's already a long video, but we could take a very quick look at this and just kind of give you an idea on what I'm looking for. By the way, these vertical lines, they're just the end of the year. That's all it is. I'm gonna take another sip of water 1 second. In case you're wondering what these and we're going to use log scale. That's the one. Close this back up. All right. So, by the way, this is where this is. I was doing this for the VIPs the other day, but kind of what I'm looking for. This is so this green line where price hit was the 618, and you got a really nice pullback off of that. From your wick high to your wick low, 31.3%. Again, this is weekly chart. Doesn't look like much, but you literally got a 31% pullback off of hitting the 618 here of your pitchfork before ultimately rotating, making your all-time high. I'm looking for something similar as far as that goes. So which is highlighted right here, this yellow golden pocket box. Was again, when you see the yellow rectangle on my charts, it's usually just a golden pocket, wherever that's like whatever Fibonacci pool I'm using. This is basically representative of that. So for the pitchfork, you know, again, if we do get that break to the we do get another nice push to the upside coming into the end of the year. I know a lot of people are talking about 100K plus, certainly possible. But for myself, where does this come into? Right about 93,000. So, I mean, we're going to do it this week. I mean, it's crypto. It's possible. I don't highly doubt it, but it's possible. But, you know, anywhere around 92 to like mid 90s. Essentially is kind of what I would be looking for, which makes sense to me. Basically, a front run of 100K, get a pullback off of that before possibly continuing higher. So for myself, about 69, 70K initial. If we break all-time high, you know, that, I mean, we probably maybe find a bit of resistance there, but really I'm targeting about 78K to 80K. And then if we break that, looking for this next, which is about 90K. So 90 to 95K. I do think that this could be a nice potential area to be aware of. And then we'll see what happens after that. Obviously, we're going to be doing a lot more updating as price does, you know, if it does make its way up here. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of excitement in the market. We're going to be definitely talking about it. But that's kind of essentially what I would be looking for. But if you look at the pitchfork in general, like there is a lot of room. There is a lot of room. And as like anything that measures rate of change like this, right? The longer that price takes to come and hit the top of it, if it does, the higher the price is going to be. It's just like the log growth curve. It's the same thing, which I guess we can take a quick look at that. Why not? I'm not going to go through the whole deal because, again, time purposes, but we can throw on the log growth curve, which I've talked about for months and months now. You can find, again, historical videos on my YouTube channel where I talk about this, but really, you know, just a very brief look at it. It has called the top and the bottom of every market cycle so far perfectly. The tops were perfectly called. So is it going to change this time? Maybe. You know, we only have really 3 cycles to look at as far as this goes. And, you know, is it going to call it perfectly this time? I don't know, but I'm certainly going to be paying attention to it when we kind of visit the top of the growth curve. Okay, I'm definitely going to be paying a lot of attention there. But where does that come into play? Well, at the end of the year, which I think that kind of the consensus at the moment is like we are going to have a parabolic push to the upside, and we are going to be, you know, pushing these higher levels. At the end of the year, you're sitting at about 145,000. So that's the top of the growth curve. You're looking, again, about 145, 150K, something like that. The longer that it takes, to reach the top of the growth curve so you can see the end of next year in 2022, the top of the growth curve right here, all right, is 231,000. So the longer it takes, technically the better it is for Bitcoin, because the higher the price target is if you're using this model. So that's something to think about. So that's Bitcoin. Trend is your friend. For me, I'm leaning upside continuation because that's what we see right now. If we lose the local support, we start getting acceptance back into that 3-week long range that we've been in so far, then we go back to trading the range. It's that simple. But as it sits, I'm bullish for continuation at this point, because it certainly looks that way. Now let's take a look at Ethereum. All right, so here's ETH USD, 12-hour chart. Same thing. Throw on Ichimoku. When we're trending really hard and we're trending very well, like Ichimoku is my default system that I go to, because for me, I've had a lot of success using it. It works very well, helps keep you in the trade. So I really like trending indicators when we're trending, right? Makes sense. When we're range bound, then you'll see a lot of, again, how I trade ranges. I use a lot of horizontal support resistance. I use there's a lot of other stuff that I use besides Ichimoku, but again, when we're trending like ETH is doing right now, this is very simple to follow this along, right? So going back, same thing. It's literally the same thing. Price below cloud, price comes into cloud, you get your bullish TK cross here, big move to the upside. So price tops out, pulls back. If it doesn't stop you out on this crazy wick to the downside, when you get your bearish TK cross, you are exiting the trade. So you're exiting your long trade that you were in from lower. And that would have been a very nice move to the upside. So what happens after you get your bearish TK cross? Price moves down. Pretty big move. All right. So even if you just measure this just from the cross, so just literally from your cross, I'm not going to use any closure or anything like that. But okay, we'll be even a bit more conservative, because here is where you would be again, looking forward to exit your trade at least, right? You got a 23% move to the downside. So you would have avoided that, which obviously is nice. And then same thing here, right? A lot of price action around. There's actually some really good horizontal levels here, horizontal SR levels. But again, price bounces, comes up, finds a bit of resistance here. Tenkan moves up. Bullish TK cross, price exits cloud, and look at this beautiful impulsive trend. Is right now we are pushing. This is looking really good, but same thing, right? Nice support on your Tenkan. This has been good compounding, good buys the entire way up. You have not had a mean reversion yet as far as the Coinbase chart goes. We have not had a mean reversion to Kijun yet, so I would definitely be looking for that. And I think when that comes, possibly a really nice opportunity. So I'll tell you right now, this is as bullish as you're going to see. This is a thing of beauty if you're in ETH right now. As it sits. Look at your Tenkan and your Kijun. Look at the angulation. Look at the slope. Very bullish. And your Kijun had it was flat for a little while, but then here, you see the angulation moving to the upside, very bullish. And you can see price is making, again, we're at new all-time highs. And we're we're probably pretty likely to push here. Look at your cloud. So this is what I want to see on Bitcoin. Angulation, positive slope to the upside. And this is, again, slope to the upside. So the cloud following price. Everything here is very bullish. So as far as Ethereum goes, the ETHUSD looks very good for continuation higher. Now, I do think that we're probably going to run into a bit of resistance around 5K is my guess. I think one of my targets I had was 49.80. So I think somewhere around 49.80, 5K. I think you probably are going to get a bit of resistance around there. But your Tenkan, your 12-hour Tenkan has been beautiful support. Literally been just outstanding areas to compound, take longs. And you have not yet had your reversion. So I would definitely be looking for that. If you go to the FTX chart, and I know this because I had actually been going through charts earlier, this was insane. This was that, I don't know if anybody was paying attention when this happened, but that was crazy stuff that happened on Binance. But here's your FTX wick. And if you look, perfectly right down to your keygen. So if you had bids sitting here, which, you know, I mean, I'm not going to tell people what to do, but again, if you had resting bids sitting here, you got filled, and just a really nice, a nice fill there, obviously. But naturally, a good place to look for a trade when you get that first initial mean reversion. Now, we didn't see this on all the exchanges, so that obviously would have been a little bit better to have seen that on, you know, Bybit, which is mostly where I trade, Coinbase. Like, I would have wanted to have seen the same, you know, the same wicks down to your keygen. But ultimately, if you're trading on FTX, you would have got that. That was a nice opportunity there. But still, same thing. Everything looks very bullish, and we're looking for continuation to the upside. As long as the trend is this strong, you ride the trend. Be careful. I mean, if you're on lower time frame, sure, you could be taking scalp shorts and all that, totally fine. But just be real careful, because this is your trend. It's very strong. So trend's your friend until the end. All right. So that's E. Again, 49. Again, we're kind of coming up into the 5K region. This is probably one that I'm going to revisit in the near future, just because it's, again, this video is kind of running a bit longer than I want to. But quite simply, ride the trend. This is giving you, I think the 12-hour again exemplifies. It's a very nice, I think this is a really nice time frame to be looking for trades on. And then quite simply, at some point in the future, when you ultimately get that bearish TK cross, that's your sign to be, again, that's your take profit usually, or be very careful, because that's telling you that the trend might be over, at least for, you know, at least temporarily. Same thing here, bearish TK cross, 21.5% pullback. Ultimately, the trend does continue to the upside, but if you want to be real safe, protect your account. You can hedge here. Multitude of different ways that you could have played this, but still you would have avoided a 21% move to the downside. We ultimately are at new all-time highs, but still there's no reason that you couldn't have protected your account here, protected your profits, because we could have broke this and went down. We happen to move to the upside, but we certainly could have broke this and rolled over and actually, you know, continued lower. So this is why you pay attention to these signals. With that being said, I'm done. For those of you in Discord, and, you know, hopefully we're going to do another live stream real soon. Obviously, VIPs, we do live streams just about every single day, and we are constantly talking about price action in Discord, sharing charts, bouncing ideas off each other, that type of stuff. So if that's something that sounds like something of interest to you, definitely go check it out. There will be a link in the description below of the video. But maybe the next video update I do this week, we'll probably do a quick look at Bitcoin, see how it's doing, quick look at ETH maybe, but we'll jump into some altcoins. So if there's altcoin charts, you can either tag me in Discord, tag me on Twitter, or put it in the comments in the video. And if I see enough requests for certain alts, we can take a look at them and try to see if we can find some really cool trade setups. So with that being said, trade safe out there. We'll see you on the next one.